In the world of Undertale, there exist humans and monsters. Both creatures possess souls, the essence of their being, represented by a heart in-game. Because monsters' bodies are more magical, their souls aren't as powerful as the humans thanks to their physical bodies. In this world, there is a power known as determination, which allows for souls to persist after death. As Alphys says, it is the will to keep living, and the resolve to change fate. Humans naturally carry an abundance of determination, but monsters have trouble manifesting it. The only way to leave the underground, besides breaking the barrier, is to possess both a human and monster soul. So for a long time, monsters just kind of hung out in the underground. They established villages and even a royal family. Asgore Dreamer is the king of the underground, and together with his wife Toriel, they become a beacon of hope and morale for the monsters. They give birth to a son, who they name Asriel.
Isn't he cute?
The game tells us it is the year 2010X when a child climbs Mount Emmet. He is a scornful soul with contempt for humanity, who climbed up the mountain for an unhappy reason. This child is discovered by Asriel, who brings them home to his parents, who decide to adopt the human as their own. This is how Chara entered the underground and begun planning his revenge on humanity by taking a monster's soul, crossing the barrier, and using its power to wipe out the humans. Nice guy. Chara takes poison, hoping that Asriel will take his soul and cross the barrier to commence his attack. Before Chara dies, he says that all he wants to do before he passes is to see the flowers of his village one last time. Chara dies. His and Asriel's souls combine, sharing control over Asriel's body. Chara takes his body, traverses the barrier, and travels to his old village. Ready to kill everyone, Chara was stopped by Asriel, who took control at the last minute. Asriel's body is wounded badly by attacking humans, and so retreats to the underground with Chara's body, where Asriel collapses in a garden of flowers and turns to dust. Chara's body is laid to rest, while his soul, filled with a maleficent determination, lingers in the dark. Asgore and Toriel lost 2 sons that day. Parts of Asriel's soul were scattered into the flowers of the garden the day he died. Asgore declares war on humanity and promises to break the barrier by gathering enough human souls to shatter it once and for all. 6 humans would follow Chara in falling into the underground, including a ballet dancer, a cook, and a cowboy. Asgore's actions during this time appalled Toriel, who decided to leave him and take Chara's body to be given a proper burial in the ruins. She also tries to protect the humans who fall down from Asgore, to little success. Around this time, 3 monsters seemingly arrive out of nowhere. Sans, Papyrus, and W.D. Gaster. Sans likes to make bad puns, Papyrus likes to make spaghetti, and Gaster likes to science. As the royal scientist, Gaster creates the core, which gives electrical power to the underground, but soon dies in a mysterious experiment that shattered him across space and time. A young reptile named Alphys becomes the new royal scientist, while the royal guard is also established, led by the fierce warrior Undyne. At this point, Asgore has 6 human souls, and needs 1 more to have enough power to break the barrier. But after a long time, it seems like no other human will fall down into their world, and Asgore starts to panic. He tasks Alphys with researching alternative ways in which the barrier could be broken. She proudly takes on this task, determined in her own way to make everyone happy. That is, after she spends time creating an egomaniacal dancing robot TV star.
Oh, yes.
She carried out another experiment. What if you gave an inanimate object determination? Taking a flower out of Alphys' garden, she injects it with determination. At first, the experiment seems to do nothing, but the flower goes missing after a few days of being injected. Reset is the power to go back to the point at which you gained the power to do so. Say I get the power to reset, then 2 weeks later I decide I'm bored. I'll now go back 2 weeks. It's important to note that this isn't time travel per se. Instead, think of it like creating a new timeline, not unlike another notorious game. So Flowey resets, and resets, and resets. He resets thousands of times, experiencing everything the underground has to offer. He gets bored and turns malevolent. he begins killing every living thing in some of these reset timelines, just for the fun of it. Eventually, Sans starts to notice Flowey's behaviour, as he's able to recognise the resets and shift in timelines. Sans is in fact able to stop Flowey several times before he resets again. Sans eventually becomes apathetic, knowing the infinite permutations of timelines means his actions are meaningless in the grand scheme of things, and so stops intervening. Flowey soon gets bored of resetting, and so decides to just let time continue until something interesting happens. And here is where the game begins. As you're more than likely aware, Undertale has 3 main paths through the game. Realistically, there are close to like 30, but for the sake of ease, I'm just going to go through the 3 main ones. Let's begin with the neutral run. A young child named Frisk falls into the underground and lands on a grave of flowers where Chara's body is buried and rests. This is a pivotal moment in the game. It is heavily implied that Chara's essence grants Frisk the determination to both reset and save. Saving allows for a safety net for whoever decides to save. Should they die, they will wake up where they last saved. Frisk's ability to reset also cancels out Flowey's ability to do so, which spikes his interest in this child. Not long after Frisk falls down, Flowey appears and, while feigning friendship, attempts to kill Frisk, but is stopped by Toriel, who guides the child through the ruins to her home. Toriel pleads with Frisk to stay with her, but Frisk wants to find a way out of the underground, and so Toriel blocks the way. Here, Frisk chooses to either kill Toriel or spare her. But why would you want to kill her? Frisk encounters Sans, who had previously promised Toriel to help any humans that escaped the ruins, and his brother Papyrus, who is itching to prove himself so he can be accepted into the Royal Guard. Entering Snowdin, Frisk is able to see that monsters are a jovial and peaceful people. Until the Papyrus fight, that is. After this fight, and potential date, Frisk travels through Waterfall and encounters Undyne, who has a deep-rooted hatred towards humans. Progressing to Hotland, Frisk meets Alphys and, of course, Mettaton, who puts them through various trials and scenarios. Frisk stays determined, however, and eventually reaches the core and beyond. At this point, Frisk has met and possibly befriended many monsters, which stay in the back of his mind, as he confronts Asgore in New Home. With the barrier right behind him, Asgore laments the situation. You see, Asgore was secretly hoping that no other humans would fall into the underground, so he wouldn't have to carry out his inevitable plan. Frisk stays determined and is able to stave off Asgore's attack. Whether or not Frisk decides to kill or spare Asgore, it doesn't matter. Flowey appears and kills, shattering his soul in the process. With the 6 human souls in front of him, Flowey could now absorb the souls from which his initial determination first came from. With human power inside of him, he transforms into a monstrous beast, and decides to play with Frisk endlessly. Through the ability to save, Frisk stays alive long enough to reach out to the souls of the 6 humans, calling for help. They assist Frisk, and Flowey is defeated by the various virtues of the human soul. Frisk can then spare or kill Flowey, and then he leaves the underground through the barrier for good. Before this though, Flowey recommends that the player reset, so he can get a better ending by befriending some of the monsters he encountered the first time. Little does Frisk know that Flowey has another plan in mind. What if Frisk gathered all the monsters to one place? What could Flowey do? Before that ending, let's reset and go down a darker path. Throughout the game, it is implied that the narrator that talks to the player is actually Chara. So, what would happen if Frisk was possessed by the soul of Chara throughout the game? After resetting, Frisk progresses through the game as normal, only this time seeking out and killing every monster encountered. With each kill, Chara gains EXP, execution points that raises his LV, or level of violence. With each LV, more and more of Chara's soul takes hold of Frisk's own. Flowey recognizes Chara's soul in Frisk and begins to help his brother by solving the various puzzles in the game for him. Sans warns Frisk that if he keeps going down this route, a bad time will happen. Ignoring this, Frisk kills Papyrus and meets Undyne, whose latent determination manifests itself as she becomes Undyne the Undying. It's interesting to note that she was one of the few monsters able to contain the determination inside themselves. Sadly, even though she was desperate to save everyone, she could not stop Frisk. Or Chara, or whoever the hell it is. Mettaton is also killed just as he transforms into Mettaton Neo. It is clear that at this point, Frisk's violence and hatred for all living things have manifested itself in determined strength. Flowey begins to notice this, and remembers back to him and Chara's time as children, with Chara bullying Asriel constantly. He pleads with Frisk to spare him, saying that he could still be helpful. In truth, he is petrified that Frisk will kill him and even destroy the entire world. Before Frisk reaches Asgore, he is confronted by Sans. Sans could no longer just sit idly by while the world was being destroyed, and even though it may be futile, with Frisk constantly saving and loading until Sans is defeated, he remains steadfast. An intense battle commences, possibly countless times. Inevitably, Sans is defeated. Frisk reaches LV-20 and progresses to Asgore. With one rage-filled attack, Asgore is killed by Frisk, and finished off by Flowey, who insists that he helped Frisk, and that they are best friends. This marked the end of Flowey, as he is savagely decimated by Frisk. It is here that Chara finally makes himself known to Frisk. Chara explains his motivations, and gives the choice to Frisk whether or not he wants to erase the world and move on to the next one, or leave it as it is. Either way, it doesn't matter. If you choose not to, Chara takes full control and destroys the world anyway. Everyone dies, and Chara moves on to the next world to continue his slaughter. The events of this ending largely follow the same beats as the neutral run. However, no monsters are killed this time. Frisk befriends Papyrus and Undyne, so when the battle with Mettaton is over, after Alphys has been befriended, Frisk continues on to Asgore. But before they fight, Toriel appears, chastising Asgore for his cowardice and dishonesty. All the rest of Frisk's friends also show up and give thanks for helping them all out. Papyrus remarks that he gathered them with the help of a tiny little flower. Suddenly, Flowey appears and restrains everyone, commenting on the idiocy of Frisk and the monsters. In a testament to Frisk's influence on the underground, every monster appears and tries to help. Little do they know that this was all Flowey's plan. Now he has the 6 human souls and also every single monster's soul in the underground. He absorbs it all, becoming... It's the end. Not care about destroying the world. All he wants is to reset the timeline once again. Frisk's determination keeps them alive through the god of Hyperdeath's barrage of attacks. At times it seems hopeless, but Frisk fortifies with everyone counting on him. Calling out to the lost souls absorbed by Asriel, Frisk is able to save the friends he made throughout his journey. Monsters are now able to leave the underground, and Frisk leaves with his friends. It's up to the player whether or not they want to live with Toriel in the human world, but in the end, the monster's new freedom makes everyone happy, and everyone lives out their days in peace. Or do they? Hey guys, thank you for watching my video on Undertale. Now, I've glossed over some of the parts of the game and haven't really dug down into the more interesting theories. What's the connection between Sans, Papyrus and Gaster?